of it. All right, so we are live now. Hello, everybody. My name is Jacqueline, and I am from Unmistakably You, and I am so excited to be joined by
My name is Nicolette. I'm from Nova Socials. I am the founder and lead coordinator and everything. Social media manager, customer service, all of it.
Yeah, she wears all of the hats.
All the
And
hats.
before we jumped on this live, she also reassured me that we are in the presence of an amazing researcher. So I cannot tell you guys enough that we will do our best to answer any questions or concerns. But as always, if we get stumped on the live, we're going to make sure we follow up with you. We'll make sure we go through any questions that we may not have covered because, again, wedding showers, bridal showers, groom showers, whatever you want to call them in this day and age, it's definitely changed from what our parents had, from what our siblings have even had, especially with that good old COVID-19 throwing everybody through the ringer. So I think Jillian asked a great question. If you don't mind kind of giving us your best kind of quick second answer as to what is a bridal shower and what's the purpose of it these days?
Yeah, definitely. So I think you made a good point. The name is really not that important. Whatever you want to call it, wedding shower, bridal powder, bridal shower, wedding shower, or groom shower. It's just a party celebrating you and your nuptials. And it's a great way to get together with your closest friends or, every single person you know. Guest list is something we will talk about. But it's a day celebrating you and full of activities, yummy food, and usually you get some gifts out of it.
Exactly. So Jillian made the great point of usually wedding showers or bridal showers seem to be very gift focused, but I think especially in this day and age, since we're coming out of being so isolated and alone, I think a big purpose of it is just to get back together and almost resubmerge yourself into social situations because it's hard. It's hard to go from only talking to your partner to then talking to wedding guests. So I always consider it kind of like your trial run.
Yeah, it's very true.
Your guest and how your guest will interact with you.
No, definitely. I think the biggest gift of it all is just seeing your friends again. It's been so long, Ontario, like we're just getting out of this. I went camping with my girlfriend this weekend. It was like, wow, a whole other life.
And I found I got peopled out. So maybe this is a good kind of segue into, do you recommend diving right back into full in-person bridal showers? Are people doing Zoom bridal showers still, wedding showers still?
Yeah, I think that's a really good topic. And it does definitely go down to like what you want. And of course, what regulations are in place. Personally, I find the regulations very confusing. I feel like every day they're changing and I never can keep up. But yeah, especially for us, wedding planners, event planners, I'm sure they can feel that. But yeah, I think it's interesting. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was hopping on Zoom. That's how we were socializing. And I loved it. It was such a great way to communicate. But after a while, like you got such like Zoom fatigue. I'm sure you've probably heard that term. It's been coined. And so I think it's still a good thing to utilize, especially if your guest list for your shower was going to be quite large and maybe you can still have that many, but it's kind of nerve wracking. Yeah. It's a good tool to utilize. And there's so many ways to make it way better than just like a Zoom or a live, There's another thing we can dive into later, but vendors who like have perfected this because we've all had to just, get on our feet and get going and figure things out as we go. But yeah, I think a good hybrid is always an option. I think now that we can see people though, definitely have some in person if you're comfortable.
Definitely. Now, when you say hybrid, that means a mix of both online and in person, right? You just kind of put together.
Yeah, and I think that is like a great way to do it because even like, when you have family from far away, or maybe some people that are older or immune deficient, like it's a way they can join in the festivities, but also be safe and not have that kind of panic. So it's
almost like you read Jillian's mind. The second you said that, Jillian brought up that she has friends and family kind of scattered all over the place. So doing a hybrid is a great way to kind of include those members and finding ways to kind of have those activities still brought to an online level. I'm sure you have lots of ideas for that, but you recommended or you had mentioned something about those AV vendors who almost do this as like their main gig now of hosting hybrid events.
I know, it's amazing. I kind of wish I had some technical skills because it's such a, it was a hole in the market that now has completely been filled. I actually had a girlfriend beginning of the pandemic. She's in India as well, but she got married, and so we did a Zoom wedding. And of course, the nuptials were beautiful, and she's so cute, and I love her. So nothing could ever go wrong. But the Zoom was chaotic because there's always someone who doesn't really know how to use Zoom, me a little bit, um, and has their mic on, and so it kind of can be disruptive. So there's these vendors now, a couple I know of in Toronto, and I'm sure there's tons in London as well, who are offering live streaming services. And you can have it from one camera and they're operating it, making sure everything's going smoothly, to a full cinematic experience, like something right out of Hollywood. So whatever your budget is, there's something there to fill it. But it is something that if you're going to do the live stream, even if it's for wedding shower, engagement party, full on wedding, it's a service I definitely would put some money towards because it's going to release that headache.
Definitely. I completely agree with all of that. I think Amy and I probably put ourselves blue in the face with how often we say we are not tech people. But I also have attended some though where there wasn't a huge tech element. So don't feel the need to put the pressure on making sure that you have these big budgets allocated. Sometimes
Yeah.
I forget the name and I'm sure Amy will pop in the comments, but it's not Kerplunk, but it's something like that where it's an online where like you put questions up and then it's whoever answers the question fastest.
Oh,
In
yes.
school, and I forget
I
what it's
loved that.
called. But it's a great thing that you could do, kind of like a virtual shoe game in that sense, where you could vote like partner one prefers to wake up early compared to partner two, which partner one. And then that way there are still some games and activities for those virtual members, because I think that FOMO, that fear of missing out, it definitely kicks in when you're behind the computer screen. So finding a way to interact with your guests that are virtual and finding other ways than just doing a quick little, hey, how's it going? I missed you guys, wish you were here. That's always a fun opportunity too, because they want to be a part of it. And if
Yep.
again, distance wasn't a thing, if COVID wasn't a thing, they probably would be.
Exactly.
Now, as far as, again, I know guest list we said we were going to try to cover at the end, but it's just so big because I think that plays such a role, whether you do a virtual or a full in-person event. How do you know who to invite? It's always such a very political question. I think in traditional times, it used to be, invite everybody and their cousin down the street and everyone wants to celebrate you. But I think now it's gotten even more intimate. And I know kind of a rule of thumb is you never invite somebody who's not invited to your wedding shower. But again, rules are changing in a sense, and social etiquette has kind of veered a different path this year. So where do you stand with everything?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think it's one of those questions that's really difficult to answer. It's like asking what's your favorite song.
Yeah.
You're like, but I have a million, because you have
How
a
do I
million opinions on this, and conflicting opinions for sure. But I think that as a polite gesture, typically, yeah, if they're not invited to your wedding, you don't really invite them to the shower. But again, it's up to you. Yeah, I think, yeah, that is so, it's hard. I think you have to pay attention to just like rules, how big you're going, your budget. It's constantly changing. Like before, it would be just the ladies or just the gents, just anyone, and now it's kind of like whoever you want. And I think the biggest thing at the end of the day is what you want.
Yeah,
What you want goes. And there might be a couple people that are like a little, for lack of a better word, butt hurt about it. But it's your day, it's your budget, it's you got to do what you got to do, and that's not a reason for you to go full wedding Godzilla or whatever they call it. But you can politely be like, "This is what I want," and go for it.
absolutely. I mentioned to Nicolette, and I know Amy's mentioned it to everybody out there, but there are no wedding police despite the COVID-19 restrictions and bylaw officers. I think that's our closest thing to wedding police.
Yeah.
But there's really no wedding police. It's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your guests are comfortable with. And also we do have to pay a little tribute to, if it's mama who's hosting, sometimes mama has to get what mama wants. We know this just from me being a bit of a mama's girl myself. So play into that as well, but also understand that everything in the wedding world has come down to this or that, and who or what. It's whatever you want. It's really just whatever you want, but ultimately whatever's going to keep you safe, because this is just the shower. Although it's important, it is not to overshadow your wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally think a wedding shower shouldn't bring any more stress than wedding planning already does. It should be kind of that little vacation mode halfway through your wedding plans, in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So going off of vacation mode, because I just came from a little Hawaiian themed bridal shower.
Oh.
Have you noticed any trends or any themes that are kind of coming back into play with wedding showers? Because I know that you have this incredible shimmer wall giveaway right now that I'm just going to do a little plug. I think it would be a good asset for a bridal shower, for a wedding shower, because it is sparkle.
Yeah, or even just like a weekend sipping wine with the friends, you know? It is quite the piece. I love it. Um, yeah, you know what? Themes are really coming back, and I am personally all on board for it because every day of my life is a theme, I find. Today I'm 2000s with my glittery guest top.
I love it.
Thank you. Big themes right now. I love like a good pop culture reference. Like I'm fully addicted to TikTok. I won't even lie. It just makes me laugh, and everything on there is perfect and hilarious. And I've seen Bridgerton themes, which is amazing, you know, and very, you know, anyone can do it. The lads can do it, the girls can do it, whoever can do it. It's just, they'll do like a tea party, you know, it's just full throttle Bridgerton, which is so fun. I've seen citrus. Citrus is really big this year. So like full lemon parties, um, really bright, bold colors, which I am all for. You know, I love, you know, we had the showers that were like the white and elegant and, you know, classic. And I love it. It's traditional for a reason.
Mhm.
But there's something so, you know, rock and roll and fun about just like this full core theme, you know, and you really get to like showcase your personalities. So,
No, I love that. And I love the idea of utilizing high tea and that Bridgerton kind of style of things, because high tea and charcuterie boards and everything like that are so taboo these days, because you know there's the mix and matching and, oh, can I touch that? Can I not? But like you said, so many vendors have pivoted to creating this incredible service where a lot of those dishes and those little finger foods are actually now available, because they can be personally packaged. They can be waiter served. You have options now, which I think last year, unfortunately, it took a little bit of time for everyone to figure out if these can happen, if they should happen. And now we've got a lot of options for personalized boxes, like I had mentioned, doing little cute organza bag kind of snacks, which again can go with any bright colored theme. So I love that. That's a great idea. Now, how are you finding that there's a bit more of a focus on documenting these events more so because they're not as large as guest lists? Like, are photos kind of taking a bit of a trump with bridal and wedding showers? Are you noticing if people are bringing their photographers in, or is it the iPhone strong game still?
yeah, you know, again, I think it goes down to budget, but if it's there, people are definitely making it a photo opportunity for sure, which I think no matter what, if it's an iPhone, if it's a, you know, Motorola Razr from the 2000s or a full, you know, Canon camera, document it and have fun with it, because we have been locked inside our houses for a year and a half now, especially in Toronto. And people just want to have fun and they want to get together and they want a recent profile picture, you know? So you got to have fun. But I have seen, yeah, like all these smaller scale events leading up to, you know, the big day, the wedding, are increasing in size and importance. Like they are becoming almost like full events on their own. I had a girlfriend last year who had a shower and it was like a mini wedding. It was wild, you know? But whether, you know, you don't have the budget, say, you can still have a great time and make it look fantastic. You know, everything is on the internet, from, again, TikTok, love you, TikTok, Pinterest and YouTube, not sponsored, but sponsor me, YouTube, you know, it's all there. And like, that's another thing you can do. Another reason to get together with your pals and do some DIY is for your showers and stuff. So
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite activities that a lot of people might skip or gloss over because they don't know if they really want to put their wedding guest showers to work. But if you're doing a huge DIY piece for your wedding, like handling all of the centerpieces, why not do a bit of a arts and crafts wedding shower for an activity.
Yeah. And
Great way to, sorry, go ahead, Liz.
there's a difference between, having your bridal party work and like renovate your backyard and have them, helping make some paper bouquets or something.
Exactly. And it's also a great way to kind of get everybody involved in that planning process because, again, like you had mentioned, it's kind of like choosing your favorite song when you're choosing weddings. Everybody's going to give their 2 cents of their favorite song, and it's a lot of opinions. So finding a way to kind of bring everyone and streamline them together, it also gives them a sneak peek into what your wedding day will kind of be like, which I always like. It's kind of a nice little touch for the family members.
Definitely.
But that's awesome. One thing that I always forget to recommend to couples that are doing like a hybrid or a Zoom kind of portion is take the time, either jump on Canva or even just a quick little Google search of a fun background that you could email out with the code, and then all of your guests have the same virtual background. Maybe you take a picture of your backyard or of the venue that you're hosting your wedding shower, and then they get to kind of be in that space, even if it is just that virtual world. It's just that extra little touch to include them in it. I always recommend that because people even take screenshots when they're at Zoom weddings. So to have something that puts them in the space, it's amazing what Photoshop can do these days, and it's just eliminating that step for them.
Yeah, that's actually a great point because I literally threw my pampas grass behind me and I was like, no, I look cool and fancy, so people, when they're a guest, it's like, oh my goodness, like I don't want, my laundry in the background. So it's really nice to kind of, have them relax a little bit. They don't have to think about where are they going to set up their camera.
Exactly. Kind of take that guest experience when they are virtual to a whole other level because like you said, wedding showers are really elevating. They're not just your typical, or they can be, and I still kind of prefer it, but they're no longer the low key in your mom's living room, dressed however you want, getting gifts from everyone. It's kind of elevated where you have a getting ready squad. Your girls are decorating with you. Your guys are stocking the cooler for you.
Yep. Yeah, it's very true. And I think it's just all such an experience now, which is always good. But of course, I always go back to budget because it's supposed to be, like you said, it's like a vacation. Like it's supposed to be the breezes in your hair. You're having a good time with your friends and family. So that's the main priority.
I like that. It kind of segues into my next point, which with budget, I know a lot of the time it's a lot easier for people just to host it themselves, whether it's at their own house, maybe a wedding party member's house, maybe a family member's. But with COVID, are you finding that people are kind of jumping back to restaurants and then hosting more of a patio get together? Or where are you finding wedding showers are being hosted?
I feel like that one is a little bit to be continued a little bit. But in the city, at least, like we rarely get a backyard. If you get a backyard, you definitely utilize it. But I think a lot of people are doing, restaurants or like if they have a party room that's, beautiful, or even, an event space, because we have all, sizes here. So that is definitely being utilized. People's backyards, friends, if you have a backyard, they'll host it for you. So all over, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that that's a perfect answer because, again, it loops back to it really depends on your budget. Obviously, hosting a more potluck style where you're supplying the food and you're making sure that that's safe and standards and all the COVID compliant that it can be for your guests. But it does get a little expensive when you want to outsource the location and the decor and the outfits, which it gets pricey when you're thinking about those wedding shower outfits. I've looked at those cute white mini dresses that our couples are wearing, and good on you, ladies. Good on you.
Yeah. Wearing white is scary enough for me, Looking at the price tag can be even scarier, but
Completely.
They are definitely turning again back into that point, like just more into an event, with going all out and having a space or just doing it in the backyard. But either way, like memories are made,
That's a perfect way to put it. Memories are made, and whatever is a true reflection of you. If you've never been that couple that goes all out, that goes to the nines, that spends every weekend out at a restaurant and does all the fancy things, then you don't need to, because you feel this pressure, because you see the TikToks and we see the Instagrams. If you know that tried and true, a hog or a sausage on end, surrounded by a bunch of people, safely, of course, distance with your masks on in a COVID world, but you're doing all of the being surrounded by all the people that you want to be surrounded by. That's the main goal of your wedding shower. Of course, those big flashy photos are beautiful to have, but
Yeah,
whatever is most true to you and to your guests as well, I think that's going to go a long way.
definitely. I actually have seen people kind of morphing the wedding shower into more of a activity. So people, instead of, having gifts and something in the backyard or at a venue, they're going glamping, almost like a second bachelorette or first bachelorette, but it's more of like a group activity experience. And I think that's a great thing. You have to do what you want to do. And that's another point I was going to make is at showers lately, again, we just got out of lockdown. We're living our best lives again safely. People just want to like have fun and do activities. So really filling up your party with activities is going to keep you and everyone happy.
I love that. Now, did you have any favorite activities that have stood out to you on the TikTok world or anything that you've seen done recently?
There's so many that would be
No.
hard to even think of.
I'm trying to hash through a list in my own head. And my personal favorite one that I've seen done always is and it's such a classic. I remember doing it even at my cousin's, but making the toilet paper dress
Oh yeah.
is very timely with COVID, considering the massive toilet paper haul of 2020.
Yes, everyone's stocked up.
To that and restock up and get the biggest ball gown of toilet paper you can get. I've always loved that. Of course, not always the most sustainable option, and always trying to find sustainability in wedding planning in general is always a difficult task, especially when it comes down to finding those activities. But there's definitely ways to do it. I've seen a lot of lawn games and just making sure that you've got hand sanitizer nearby. So like using ladder golf, the classic, the beanbag toss. I love that. As well as doing the fake bouquet toss, where you're putting together a bunch of fake flower bouquets and then you see literally who can launch it the farthest across. Those are always so funny to me. There's a couple good wedding party members with some good biceps in those videos.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. There's so many activities, you can find them anywhere. Again, Pinterest, TikTok, all of that. The wedding dress game we did for my sisters as well, but her and I are very, green thinking peoples. And we went to Value Village pre-COVID, which still you can go now, just, it's wash it again, whatever. And we got a bunch of different white clothing. And so we had everyone make an outfit and it was ridiculous. Some of the stuff that came out of there, it was like Madonna from the 80s, like a lot of stuff.
All the shoulder pads.
All the shoulder pads, like weird little hair things. Everyone got really creative and it was really fun.
Oh, that's perfect.
But what was my other point? Oh yeah, so sustainability.
What?
Yeah, it is really important. And I think after coming out of a pandemic where I think all our eyes were, opened, mine sure were, that we need to prioritize a lot of things, ourselves being one for sure, but also if we can make big differences out of small actions, then that's so important. So yeah, instead of the toilet paper, going and buying some vintage clothes that you again can donate right after, or sometimes your friends love them and they're like, I'm going to keep this. And that works. And, bridal showers and wedding showers, like usually there's paper plates and this and that. If you have the opportunity to get, rental plates, rental cutlery, stuff like that anything that's reusable makes a big difference.
Now, I come from a pretty big family, and we did one year a bring your own fork, knife, spoon, and plate Christmas dinner. And honestly, it wasn't as nightmarish as we all were imagining. At the end of the night, we all just put our stuff in our own little reusable bags, put them in the car. Granted, it wasn't like the August heat of making things smell up in the car.
Yeah.
But I don't think, especially in this setting, like you had said, it's all those little changes, and it could bring an extra level of comfort for your guests that aren't ready to be sharing cutlery or having to decide, like, was this washed properly? Finding a way to bring that ultimate safety forefront. But like you had said, sustainability it's time for us to get a little bit more innovative, I think. So I like those ideas.
Definitely. I love that idea of bring your own plate just on a level of like another theme, because I love, teacups and how they come in different shapes and sizes and colors and everything and patterns. So if you were like, okay, we're doing a citrus themed party, but bring your own plate, and everyone's like, oh, I have like my grandma's lemon plate. It could be really, really cute and also really, really, safe. And that's my theme of the year, is stunning but safe.
Yes. And I think that we've touched on a lot of points that can keep everybody stunning but safe. The obvious, of course, comes down to making sure you have enough space for everyone to be properly distanced. Make sure that you are enforcing masks. I know that right now we've especially touched on it. It really feels like we're coming out of this, but ultimately we can only fully come out of it if we keep each other as safe as we have been keeping each other. So making sure that that does stay at the forefront of the mind with all of your plans still. I know that it kind of can put a dark looming cloud, but it doesn't always have to. Like Nicolette just brought up, it gives you a lot of options to have that eclectic feeling and that real community feeling when everyone brings little parts of themselves literally to the table.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like, your party is going to be the best party as long as everyone's comfortable and happy. There's nothing worse than when someone's feeling like, ooh, I'm a little uncomfortable because we're a little close, or exactly, is this clean the way I would clean it? So I think that goes also with being very open to different people, maybe declining coming to your party, or maybe they bring their own cutlery. Just no one be offended. We just got to go with the flow,
I think that's the best thing that all of our couples luckily have been incredibly great at doing, and going with the flow. But reminding everybody that this is the second year. Nobody is the wedding shower pro. As much as we like to think of ourselves as knowing what's going on and keeping an eye on trends, ultimately what's going to be best for yourself, what's best for your guest, is hidden somewhere within yourself. You're going to know, you're going to get that gut intuition of, oh, this doesn't really fit us. And trust your gut. It's led you this far pretty well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest point and tip and advice anyone can give you, is like, trust your gut, do what is right for you.
Yes. So obviously, in a beautiful world, what's right for you might be having 200 people in your backyard and having a massive cookout. So what's best for you, but also COVID compliant, and making sure that we can get out of this by following all of the rules and regulations, as frustrating as they may be. It's ultimately the best course of action for right now. And I'm just so thankful that there are geniuses out there like Nicolette who can literally squeeze lemonade out of the lemons that have been handed to us and think of citrus themed events, because what a perfect cherry on top of the lemon that we were given of 2020 and 2021.
Yep. If life gives you lemons, make margaritas or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Joan
I like
Collins. Lemon margaritas.
Lemon margaritas. Well, again, as always, everybody, if you have any questions, never fear. Feel free to comment on this video. It's going to be archived and saved in the Wedding Planning Simplified group. We'll make sure that we check back, because Nicolette is not only an incredible genius, but also a member of the group. So she will be able to see when you are kind of posting and have any curiosities. As always, as well, we like to handle more of the aftermath of the elopements and the weddings and all of the things. But Nicolette out in Toronto is doing incredible things when it comes to planning showers, parties, bachelorette weekends. And like I said, that incredible giveaway of her shimmery wall is ending soon. So make sure you check her out. Where can we find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so I am at Nova Socials _TO. It's just in my display name, but with the _TO for Toronto.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Nicolette, for spending your Sunday with us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, whether it was live, you popped on for a little bit, or you're catching the recap. We always appreciate having everybody. All right, we'll see everybody soon. Stay out of trouble, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday.
See ya.
Bye, Nicolette.